Hello, my name is Dan Johnson, and welcome back to the Who podcast. This month, I'm going to be talking about merchandise. We have the recent season 24 box set. Tomorrow, as in of day of recording, like today, I think it's like what, the 18th, 19th? 19th. Tomorrow, being the 20th, there is the box set, not a box set announcement, sorry, the new character options online exclusive figure. And we're going to be talking about just all of that stuff that we're getting in terms of merchandise, because we get more merchandise announcements than we do get actual announcements for the real show itself. And I think that merchandise basically carries Doctor Who at the minute. There is nothing else carrying it, with the lack of marketing that we've had up to, I don't know what it's going to be like at Comic-Con next week yet, but that doesn't really matter right now, because I am joined by this month's co-host, who's never been on the podcast before, and I haven't even known you for that long, to be honest.
No.
I feel like I need to explain how we met
Um,
briefly.
it was mostly like my part because I was like
Yeah,
getting all stuff, and I came across your channel and I just started commenting on your videos and stuff, and then we just started talking from then.
yeah, yeah. Because you messaged me on Twitter. Because I don't know why,
Yeah.
but you saw me as a bit of a wise man of how to because you would send me sort of like, is this a good deal kind of things. And I feel like
Yeah.
together we've been able to sort of grow our collections a bit more, because there was one evening that I remember where we were sitting there watching this eBay thing for like season 18 box
Yeah,
set.
that's right,
And I think I can't remember if you have that one or not. Do you?
yes, I do have season 19. I've got
Season
the
18,
limited.
sorry.
Oh,
Do you,
18, no, I haven't
Tom Beckett?
got 18
Because
yet.
I think I tried to buy it one day, and I think you were messaging me. You were like, "Oh, I'm watching it as well." At the same time that I
Yeah.
was watching it, and then I lost the bid, and it was like, "Oh no!" I think it went for like,
Yeah.
it doubled though, didn't it? Because it really jumped at the end. It was,
I think it went for like, I think it was like 150 or something
yeah,
like that.
it
Went
was.
for a crazy price.
It was the time when I had the whole like, don't go over 60 quid, and I think it was on like
Oh
50,
yes,
and
that's
then the last second it went boom, like 150, which was
right.
insane.
I
But
just I hate those moments. I hate those moments where you're watching it and it's like, say it's like 70, 80 quid, and it comes like the last like 5, 10 seconds. All of a sudden, it just jumps right up to, like over 100 quid.
yeah, I mean that happens all the time with eBay.
I know.
It's so irritating. But I've just realised I didn't actually introduce you properly. We got sidetracked talking about bloody collection box sets. But you, of course, Scotty Walters, you have a Spotify page that I'll link, a YouTube channel of your own where you do reactions to trailers, music videos. You're a huge Picture This fan, probably the biggest I've ever seen,
Yes,
because my
I literally,
feed.
I literally met them last week in Dublin. That was awesome.
Yeah, I bet that must have been a cool thing to do though.
That was, yeah.
And for those that, I mean, because I don't want to seem rude here, but for those that might be wondering, you're from Northern Ireland, which is why you've got quite a heavy accent. Because people do ask me sometimes about my accent and where I'm from,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think that it's like on TV when you have, especially audiences overseas, don't understand
Hmm.
uh, accents, like regional accents from different parts of the
Yeah.
UK. But to be honest, no one really understands what people from Birmingham are saying. So we'll just move on to what the actual podcast is about, and that is merchandise. So obviously, we mentioned that we're both collectors of the collection box sets and the steelbooks. Um, so is there a favorite that you have then? Like, is the one that you put up against the others as higher? That was not a sentence, but I think you
Um.
understood the question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, completely. Yes. Out of all the not steel books, collection box sets, I do like the season 12 one. That's the one I've been really wanting to get, and it's been very hard to get it. And then I eventually got it at some point, and I
Mm.
do love the artwork on the season 12 collection box sets. Like some of the artworks are really good, but I really love the Tom Baker one. I just think it's been really well designed.
Cool. I mean, each one that comes out, I mean, we're gonna have 26 eventually, but each one
Mhm.
is really well made by Lee Binding. I really hope he does the full set. of 26.
Yeah.
And I've
Another
seen,
nice one actually is season 8. The artwork of that's really good as well.
yeah.
I really love that.
I don't know if you finished that season yet. If you finished watching that, because I know you had it, but I think you've got quite a few to watch that you haven't finished that one.
Because I've been buying the box sets, and then I've been starting back to work now, so haven't really had time to watch them. But I think season 8, I've got like one more. I've got the last story of that box set to finish, but I've watched all the other ones in
The
that set.
Demons, of course, a very good
That's
story.
it.
That
Yes,
one, yeah.
I've heard the Demons is a really good story, and I'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I only watched it for the first time when I got this box set, and I did really think it was probably it was like your kind of perfect 70s sort of story. Exactly what those ones are built off. But then, of course, they're the collection boxes, and even though that they have issues, I think that we can always overlook that for the things that we
Yeah,
get. Like, there is a lot of stuff on Twitter and like issues with kind of posting and them getting damaged and stuff, and services selling like full sets, like every single copy that they have, and not having any left for like replacements if one gets damaged. So people have ended up with damaged sets because
after paying all that money for it.
yeah, and you're still paying 45 quid and you've got a damaged set at the end of the day, and they can't replace it because they've sold every single copy that they have. And I think that's I mean, it's not great practice, to be honest, in terms of like selling stuff. But I think with all that kind of like broken sort of disc trays, like I've been quite lucky, none of mine have broken yet. But one
No,
day it's just bound to happen. Like the
and
amount
then
of
there was
people that
the
have had it.
issue with, was it season 12? The first one came with season 10 disc artworks on it, something like that.
Yeah,
There was that
yeah.
issue as well.
And
A lot of
then
people were complaining about
season 8 had booklets that were messed up.
that as well.
See, pardon, sorry, what was that? You kind of audio dipped.
I'm sorry. Yeah, some people were complaining that the season 8 booklet had some pages missing
Yeah,
as well.
I think it skipped Claws of Axos or something like that. The whole story is missing from the booklet. And season 18 had one as well, where the first disc had an audio issue or something that they didn't repair, as well as I think it got repaired on the standard release, but they didn't repair it initially. And then you have um, a blunder in the titles. I think there was a spelling mistake or something like that that they didn't
Yeah,
correct. So I think there's a lot of sort of those small issues which I think bleed from like the worst stuff that we'll talk about later.
yeah,
But I think that those small things are more minor than and easily fixed than just send
yeah.
out extra discs to people that have ordered them. Um, use receipts. I mean, to be honest, that would also rely on people uh, not using stores to buy the sets
Like
because
stories enough. Yeah.
you'd have to, because it's based off order and not by like you if you went and gave them a receipt, would you actually get the replacement disc? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you come on to like steelbooks and that kind of stuff. Like I asked
Mm.
you with the collection boxes, is there a favorite there?
Steelbooks, definitely. Yeah, my favorite steelbook has to be the 50th anniversary. I love that artwork.
Yeah, I think I might need to agree with you actually, because there's a lot of them and they're very good.
Yeah.
But I mean that 50th one is just absolutely epic. It's like I think it's definitely got the most stuff on the cover, hasn't it? Like it's just the most visually interesting compared to the
It's
others.
not too it's not too cramped either, because like if you put everything in the front cover, sometimes
Mm.
it can be a bit cramped. But they've
Yeah,
actually done a really good job with that.
yeah, they did. I think that sometimes the minimalist sort of design that they had with some of the earlier ones,
Oh
so
yes,
sometimes it kind of fell flat. Like the one for Series 3, I thought didn't resemble the series very well, if you know what I
yeah,
mean. Like I think that there's kind of like dips, but I think that overall the format even though it like changed multiple times, like the logo's different, like the artists and their interpretations of what the steelbook should look like, all of that changed. I think that the steelbook collection as a whole is still
Yeah.
a solid set of releases and an amazing moneymaker for the BBC and Doctor Who and all that kind of stuff. Whoever is in charge of all that kind of things, they must be making an awful lot from that. But then you have not just that, but branches off steelbooks. I didn't realize if you wanted to say anything on steelbooks. Then I kind of moved on and didn't let you say anything. I'll go back. So, is there anything like steelbook related that you want to talk about there?
I know. Yes. I was going to say like for each of the steelbooks, I would have liked to see if like bringing like different artists to do the covers for the steelbooks. So it was like different ones. Because I know Sophie Cowdery did do a good job with series 4 and upwards. They're really good. But I was watching this YouTuber from America. He was talking about them. He says he would have liked to see different artists come in and designing the steelbooks, which
Yeah,
would have been nice too.
and yeah, for me, as I kind of always mention, it's always about what the series holds. And I think Sophie Cowdery always does a good job of incorporating the series. Like the series 5 one had the painting, which I thought was
Yeah,
cool. I
series
like
5 one's amazing.
I love that kind of attention to detail where you've picked up elements from the series and you've put it in the steelbook. So the steelbook represents the series and not that it's just a thing that sort of represent like it's just a case to hold the things, hold the discs. I quite liked that, but I think that you're pretty right there with the whole different artists because I think that there are some things that like should stay the same, like I said with Lee Binding earlier, but with steelbooks, I think that each series is so different that you really could do different art styles for each one, and I feel like there's no reason why they couldn't have done it that way because it would allowed Sophie Cowdery, even she made amazing steelbooks, but she could have spent more time on separate ones than passing out like 5 or 6 something like that she's done now.
Yeah, because she's done series 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 5 she's done so far.
Did she do series 12? She might have done series 12 as well.
Series 12? I'm not too sure.
I can't really remember, but for sure she's made a lot. But I think that it would be good to get some kind of new blood in there just to represent the series a bit better. But it's definitely not a bad thing, is it? I mean, the specials, not the specials, sorry, the extras are always quite light within the box sets. But generally, I do find that with Classic Who, there's a lot more like dishing the dirt. Like they kind of sit there and they're like, yeah, so John Nathan Turner wasn't happy with this, so we had to reshoot it. They would never say that nowadays. It's been like if they wouldn't turn around and say, oh, Chris Chibnall had a bit of like a fit over this and therefore we had to cut it or whatever. Like they would never say that because they never want to tarnish the brand. But with the 80s, they like it's so long ago that they don't. I won't say that they don't care, but I think then it becomes it becomes history, and it becomes, I think, more interesting when you know the behind the scenes stories behind the episodes that you watch. Like that's why I've really enjoyed the classic, like the box sets, the collections series, because unlike with the DVDs that I was getting, I wasn't really looking at the bonus features as much, and I started delving into them a bit more once I got season 12. And from that, as I went through each story, I'd go through the whole episode, then all the like behind the scenes stuff, and move on to the next story until I finished the box set. And with that, I think that I was able to watch the story, and then as that kind of day or two that I would watch the behind the scenes stuff, I kind of developed a taste for how much work went into it, even if it's a bit shoddy. Like sometimes I think if you've seen Sontaran Experiment, I think you have, haven't you?
Oh yeah, from series 4.
From series 12.
Or series 12.
You're thinking of the thing with David Tennant. No, there's Sontaran Experiment is Tom Baker, Sarah Jane, and Ian.
Oh yes, I know what you're all about now. No, I still haven't seen that yet.
Well, it would have been useful if you had. But there's a robot in that story that looks a bit clunky, and it's like, oh, it's naff production value. But at the same time, I think that robot chugging along was incredibly difficult for them to do. Like because they talked about kind of like the bad terrain and all that kind of stuff, which led to issues of getting the robot to stand. And I think that when you see that in kind of like the shots that they choose, I think you get a new found appreciation for all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, Sontaran story, is that in season 14? I think it's in season 14 because I know I've got one of the Tom Baker box sets that's got
that's season
Sontaran.
12.
Or season 12.
Yeah. Season 14 doesn't have any Sontarans in it.
No.
But season 12, you should watch that one because I really do love that series.
I got confused. Season 12 is where...
There's lots of people in the comment section just spouting that you've got it wrong. Just as soon as you said that it was the thing with David Tennant, I think it was earlier, I was like, you've forgotten. But is there anything else sort of good that you want to talk about merchandise before I move on to other things relating to that?
Well, we've got the new classic steelbooks coming out as well.
The animations, yeah. Yes, forgot.
Or is that it? No.
You've got Evil of the Daleks as well, which I haven't ordered yet, but that one looks absolutely amazing. Like I love that design.
Yeah, it's nice.
Web of Fear I was a bit disappointed with, but I think the design for Evil of the Daleks is amazing. Like those steelbooks, the amount of work that go into making those animations, not just the products themselves, but the animations, because these are not just like rehashed things. These are people making Doctor Who episodes that don't actually exist. They're basically remaking Doctor Who. Sure, they have the audio and a bit of reference, but I think that a lot of work still goes into making it, and I don't think they get enough credit, to be honest, because I don't know how much you're into like the whole Doctor Who sphere when it comes to this kind of stuff, but the animation style always gets critiqued. It was like, oh, it's naff animation. I mean, the new one for Web of Fear looks absolutely terrifying. I'm interested to see how that's going to go down, because I don't feel like that even needs animation because we have most of the episodes, but the animation style looks really weird. It'd be interesting to see that one. But what do you think of? Because I think you've watched a few now, haven't you, of classic animation? So what have you? What are your opinions on those?
I've watched the what's the one with the flame one again? I got it recently.
Fury from the Deep. I think you have.
I think it's that one. I've got that one, and I've got. Oh, that's going on me now. It's the one with the airport theme on
it. Faceless Ones.
That's it. Yes, I've watched that one, and I thought it was really good. I love the story behind it, and the animation was definitely really well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's all made on this this thing called Flash. It's called Adobe Flash, and it's it's professional software, and I used it at school, and it's only about 2 years ago, and it is incredibly difficult to grasp. Like, I mean, they have much better assets and bigger teams and more hours to work on it than I did with my animation thing that we made. But like, just getting things to look slightly more natural, like, because everything, I mean, it's okay. Obviously, it doesn't look realistic because it's all cartoons, but it's all animation and all that. It's all basic, like arm up, arm down. But for some reason, there is so much that can go wrong with that. Like, you might think, oh, it's simple just to animate the arm to go up, but it's not, because then you're having to sort out the different sort of images. Like, because moving the hand up was not as simple as doing that. It was moving the hand up, and then the hand image would change. And I don't know which set it is. It might be the Faceless Ones, but in the documentary stuff for that, they talk about how like the hands come up, and then they like there's a scene I think with like a ball or something, and they had to make a hand shape for him holding this ball, and it's in one frame. Like, the artist had to draw this, like he took a reference of his own hand, drew it, colored it, animated it in, and it was one frame of the whole
One.
story.
Wow.
Like all of that kind of stuff goes so uncredited by Doctor Who fans. They see it and they just go, "Oh, it looks not real." Like, what do you expect? The thing doesn't exist anymore.
No.
You know, like I think that some of the choices that they make with the animations that they've chosen to animate is a bit strange, though. Like, I don't know, because obviously I don't think you're a big fan of Classic Who, like generally.
Not majorly, but I do enjoy watching Classic Who. But it's just because I was brought up with the new Who stuff. But that's why I'm starting to watch Classic Who to try and get into it a bit more. But I do
Yeah.
enjoy it.
The only reason that I started watching more Classic Who, well, it was all on a horror channel for a while. It was on UK Gold as well for a little while in
Yeah,
England, and then after that, I was given a couple of episodes from someone in my family, and in fact, I think he gave me like a lot of his episodes. Um, so with that, I kind of had a good amount of Doctor Who to watch, like a dip into different things, and some things I still don't like own. Like I don't have a lot of First Doctor and a lot of Second Doctor, but I do have a lot of Pertwee and a lot of Baker
yeah.
stacked away. But
I do have a couple of the First Doctor stories, but they're in my in the other room. I've got the beginning and some of the first few stories from him as well. I don't know where they are. They're in my other room somewhere. I need to hook them out at some stage.
lovely. Well, what where I was going with my tangent there about how I got into watching more Classic Who, was that there's such a shoddiness to how Classic Who looks,
Mm-hmm.
and even though they're picking the strangest episodes, the shoddiness, like I think, can be forgiven because it's being forgiven anyway to even watch Classic Who. So I don't think it
Mm-hmm.
really matters. Like if you said to them to, I think it's like a double-edged sword because you get one
Mm-hmm.
side where it's like, hey, we've got an animation, but the animation looks bad, and then there's the other side where it's, you know, we don't have any animations. You know, the BBC are defunding Doctor Who. Like it just spirals out of control. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it almost is right now with like the new series, like series 13. It kind of is spiraling out of control, and I don't know, obviously, how much you're into the whole thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it does kind of spiral out. You know, if you weren't aware. But they are also making weird choices with the episodes that they choose
Yeah.
to animate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can think of multiple stories that I would love to see fully animated, and it does
Yeah.
seem like, especially with uh, Web of Fear, that they're doing it purely out of money.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it matters really to you, does it? Because you don't own a lot of the episodes that are being animated anyway, do you?
Not yet. The only two I have is the web. Oh, phone died.
I was going to say you've
Why
just
did
turned upside. You just spun around. Ah, the woman's in my ears.
I don't know.
Okay, so before we were interrupted by yet more technical issues, um, what were we talking about? We were talking about animations, weren't we? Classic
The
animation.
animations, the steelbooks and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Well, so I think I was saying about how we were all deeming them to be naff animation. Well, some people on Twitter, etc., were deeming them to be naff animations. When I
Yeah.
think that it just takes a lot more work and dedication to make a whole Doctor Who serial. And let's not forget, Doctor Who serials were not like particularly action-packed stories anyway. Like there is
No.
a lot of people, like the Faceless ones. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
it was all right. I watched it. It was fine. I did think there was a lot of just sort of static talking though,
Mm-hmm.
because it's Doctor Who, like in the
Mm-hmm.
60s, and that's why I've been put off by a lot of that kind of stuff because these 70s and forward seem to have understood that there needs to be a bit more drive and effort
Yeah.
into stories. and I don't think a lot of the '60s ones had that. I mean, like there's stories like the Invasion stuff that had that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
I think the Faces ones didn't. But I think that might be, besides the point. But they are choosing some strange episodes
Animate.
to restore, yeah, to animate. Is there any that you'd really like to see? If I don't know how
Um,
familiar you are though, so I'm kind of I threw that question at you, but
yeah,
I wasn't quite sure what your reply would be.
yeah. I'm not really familiar with any lost episodes, like, but I know there's what is it? There's one. I think it's the first Doctor story that was lost, and there's an audio of it, but it's not animated. I can't remember what
There's an
I can't remember
awful
the name
lot.
of it.
There's an
There's so many.
Yeah. Um, for me, this might be the one that you're thinking of. The Daleks' Master Plan for me is one that I'd love
Oh
to
yeah,
see animated. It would be
mm,
difficult though, because it's a
yeah,
big series, a big serial. But one year, God knows when, but like my dream for these animation things is to one day get Daleks' Master Plan
get it. Yeah,
animated, because it's like 12 parts. There's a Christmas special. Each location is different, each story. Like it feels like it could be a very cool thing to see. um but with Dalek Universe, which I think is probably one of my favorites from Big Finish this year. I just think it's been amazing. I just finished
hmm
the second box set that just came out last week, and I just thought that was amazing once again. Even though maybe this box set was not as good as the first one, but still, like, absolutely brilliant stuff, right? Um, and uh, with that, they base a lot of the characters off Terry Nation's Dalek universe, obviously.
yeah,
So as Mark Seven from like a current comic strip, but also as the Kingdom family and the whole kind of SAS army kind of thing that they feature a lot within Dalek's Master Plan. There's a lot of reference to it. And I just wish, because I can't deal with telesnaps very well, that was existing.
yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff. I'd really love to
Mhm.
see the Abominable Snowman. I think it's what that's
Oh
not doesn't
yes,
sound right, but yeah, that story, like all that kind of stuff, I just absolutely love to see all of that one day. Um, I don't, which brings us on to our next thing. I suppose quite neatly.
hmm
Um, figures. Now, do you have many figures yourself?
Um, I've got a couple. I do have some. I've got like a cabinet in my living room, and at the minute I have the 11th Doctor, the 7th Doctor, and two Mondasian Cybermen. Not just random, just
Really?
but I do have. Yeah,
I don't have. I don't know where you would have got Mondasian Cybermen. I didn't even realize they made figures for Mondasian Cybermen. I bet they did, but like, I don't think I
yeah.
have any. I don't think I've seen
And
any.
then I've got the ones that I got a good while back from B&M. One with Yaz and Ryan
Yeah,
with the
yeah, I've got them.
Dune. I've
Yes,
got those as
just
well.
kind of over in that corner.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, so obviously, so you have been to B&M. You have seen the newer sets that they've
yeah.
released. Excellent. Then this is going to actually make sense. Brilliant. So tomorrow, or as of recording tomorrow, there is
Mm-hmm.
there's a new sort of set, online exclusive. 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow morning, there is going to be the announcement, even though we know it's coming, but you'll be able to
Yeah.
pre-order it, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and do you remember the movie Dalek ones? You might have seen them. I'm
Oh
stabbing in
yeah.
the dark here, but you might have seen them. They sold out quite quickly. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
new one tomorrow with the second Doctor in his coat. You might have from the Abominable
Oh
Snowman,
yes, it's
big
cool.
furry
Yes,
coat, and the
it's very
TARDIS.
cool.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
like it looks lovely, right? It's probably going to be at like 25 quid, something like that, tomorrow morning. But what I'm really concerned about is missing out. So I'm almost
If they
preparing
sell out.
myself not to get it. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Well, I'll probably be up by the time it goes live. But I think that I'd really love to be able to get it, but I don't think I will. If that makes sense. I'm
Mm-hmm.
concerned that if like the website crashes, I get stuck behind.
Oh, I have to see many people on it.
Yeah, like, and obviously eBay scalpers, which we're familiar with from eBay, from collection box sets. All of
Mm-hmm.
that is going to come together to mean that like people are trying to buy like 10. and then sell them on eBay
and
later.
someone eBay.
Like, and I think that all of that is kind of where, for me, the line is drawn between the good side and the bad side. So that's why I wanted to. That's why I've purposely done all this in this order, was so
Yeah.
that we could talk about collection box sets, steel books, animations, figures, and then now we're going back onto our negative stuff. But that's right. I kind of draw the line with it all.
Mhm.
Um,
What about pop finals?
I
Because
mean,
I do have a couple. I
I
do have a
think
couple of Doctor Who pop finals.
now for me, I do have a few myself. Um, but they're not very often, are they? Like, they're not constantly
No.
being made. And I do find that, for me, this is the issue with all pop vinyls for me anyway. I just feel like some of them are a bit weak. Like,
Hmm.
I just think that they're a bit of a fad, and I'm thinking that unless you've got really rare ones, like,
Hmm.
I kind of went off them, I think. Because I
Yeah.
used to get quite a lot of them, and it was like, oh yeah, these are cool. Everyone's got one of these. And then sort of over time, I've kind of gone, actually, I mean, they're good. They look nice, I suppose. They're quite
Yeah.
geeky, which is probably why I like them.
That's what I started off with when I was wanting to start pop vinyl. Because I've got like good 50 odd pop vinyls of
You've got
different stuff. But
50. Wow. I think I've got probably
yeah,
less
I've
than
got quite.
20. So,
But
if
Doctor
you
Who ones, Marvel
re-
ones, Ghostbusters, I've got
what
loads.
have you got in terms of Doctor Who then? Because I've got a Jodie. I've got a Jodie from when she's making a sonic screwdriver. I've got a 10th
Mhm.
Doctor, and I've got a reconnaissance Dalek from Resolution.
Yeah. The
What?
ones I have is I've got the 13th Doctor one with the goggles on,
Yep.
making the screwdriver.
Yep.
I've a Dalek one, TARDIS, and what else have we got? I think I've got a Cyberman one as well. That's about
Ah.
it.
Yeah, I wanted the Cyberman one, but I could never find it
Yeah.
anywhere. Um,
Mhm.
but see, but obviously with pop vinyls, I think that you have to be wary, because I think you can
Mhm.
there's a lot of people with like just about everything else nowadays, including the figures, because they've slapped limited edition on them. When they're
Yeah.
not really that limited edition, but they've stuck limited edition on them because they're already
Mhm.
been made for a certain amount of time. But that
There
goes for
is
like
yeah,
everything.
there
So,
is an 11th Doctor one
is
that
there?
like pop vinyl that is vaulted, which means they don't make it anymore. And I've seen it going for quite expensive on eBay as well because it's one that I want.
There is a lot of money in pop vinyls, isn't there? Like, the collectibles now are big bucks for those that buy
Mm.
them. Um,
And even on America, there's like different there's like Target exclusive ones and all that
yeah,
you can get as well.
I've seen, I like, I don't know, the One Division ones that came out.
Oh yes.
Like, I saw a list of them, and I just thought, okay, well, when I see
This is
this, I see some that I probably won't get ever or see in a
mm-hmm.
shop. Then I see ones that I will definitely not get because they're just too rare. And then I see
Yeah.
ones that are like beyond like recognition of how much money is going
Mm-hmm.
to be spent on them. Like, in quantifiable amounts of money will be spent on those pop vinyls and trying to get them, because
Yeah.
they've been made so rare. So that's kind of where I kind of draw the line with everything that is being done. Like, is sure, the idea of limited edition is nice. I think there needs to be an idea of limited edition slapped somewhere, because
Yeah.
it's a brilliant call to action for people buying the sets, to then be like, oh, this has limited edition on it. If I don't get it tonight, it's not going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kind of attitude, which is, I've talked about how it's kind of unhealthy as well,
It
because I
is
think,
because then you think it's going to go on eBay now, and then it's going to go for crazy prices, and it sort of puts you off as well from
mm,
buying it.
yeah, like with this set tomorrow, I think, or with the last Dalek set that they released, the
Mm-hmm.
movie Daleks, um, I didn't jump at the chance. I saw them and I thought, hey, I can get them when I want. It's just
Just
like any
whenever.
other set.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they're limited edition, but I don't need to get them today, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they all sold out within, well, I don't know if it was a day, but it might have been a bit longer, but they all sold out.
Mm.
And
And I bet you were like kicking yourself, thinking
I
I
was,
should have went for it.
I
Yeah.
was like, I should have got it then, because if now that I haven't, it's always the fear of missing out. It's psychologically, limited edition is awful. Like there is
Yeah.
the whole call to action in marketing and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm surprised there's not more sort of regulation behind that, because it
Mm-hmm.
seems to me that, you know, if you like figures, not really limited edition. Like
No.
there is a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
around, and yet they still
Even though,
have
you know,
limited edition.
some of them does have the wee sticker that says limited edition on them on the figure box sets, the ones from
Yeah,
B&M.
like, and I just hate that kind of, you must buy it now, and if you don't buy it now, you're
You're
going to
missing
miss
out.
out. But then you do miss out, and you know, a couple of weeks or whenever those box sets for the Daleks arrived, I saw people
Mm-hmm.
unboxing them, and I'm like, oh, I should have got them, and they were sold out completely by the time that they
Yeah.
arrived. I think that's why I'm quite apprehensive tomorrow,
Mm-hmm. It's the same with
because
the collection box sets. They're the exact same.
mm,
There's still loads of them that I need to get, and they're very hard to get at decent prices on eBay.
and here's the perspective that us two as UK fans have never had.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone, or multiple people, in fact, that can't get the sets in their countries, are having them shipped over to them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, sort of spending an awful lot of money on shipping for these sets, or you know, having sort of workarounds, that kind of like
Yeah.
stuff, that kind of grey area, and all of that kind of stuff. There, just because they simply don't get them in their country because no no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. That's just they don't
Yeah.
like. If you, apparently B&Ms are very difficult to find in the south. Like
Yeah.
apparently they're more of a northern brand.
The more up here.
They're
Yeah.
not, yeah, they're not any lower. Like
No.
so I think a lot of people from the south, they're struggling to get to them because they're having to go a lot further than we would
Mm-hmm.
to a B&M. Like there
Yeah.
is now I live in it. Well, I live out on the outskirts of a city. That city
Mm-hmm.
has two B&Ms. Um, I actually didn't know that the second B&M existed, but they're on either sides of town, right? But it turns out there's two of them. And when I went to go and get the sort of Imperial Dalek, you might see Davros figure with 12th Doctor
Oh
and Ace,
yes.
that kind of stuff, those
Yeah.
sets. I think they're brilliant. Those both of them absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Love that Imperial Dalek. The Davros figure is amazing. So glad I had them. But when I went to the first shop, which I normally buy my B&M sets from, they only had one. In fact, they had
One.
the Imperial Dalek Ace figure, and I was desperate. Like I really, really wanted that Davros figure. Like I just thought, like I just saw loads of images and I thought that's so cool. I like really want to have that
Mm-hmm.
one. And then I went and they didn't have any. And then my dad was like, I got my poor dad because to drive me down to the other B&M, which is on the other side of town. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
Monday morning, and I got up, we went to B&M, then we went to the other B&M, and they had them in there. But see, now my dad was a lot the same as I was, but he was
Mm-hmm.
older when Lord of the Rings came out. But when I was
Oh yes.
born, I hope he can't hear me because I can hear someone moving outside. I hope it's not him. But he used to buy the little Lord of the Rings figures. Now I was born in 2002. The third Lord of the Rings came out in 2004, I think it was.
Yeah, it was round a bit there. Yeah.
So he was still buying the figures when I was born, and they're all in the loft. He's got action men and
He still
trains.
has them.
Yeah, all of that is kind of up here. And there was a point when he looked at the he went into a newsagent, I think it was, and he saw the line as it still continued about 10 years later. And he looked at it and just went, I should have stopped. And it's weird because I was thinking about this recently, is that I've had a similar epiphany where I was buying the Marvel figures, these Eagle Moss figures. I know I kind of got sidetracked slightly, but I had an epiphany that like I was buying these for years and years and years, and I looked back at some of the figures and I was like, that one is naff. But at the time, the only place I was getting them was from the newsagents. I didn't know you could buy them online. So it was
Yeah.
every like fortnight I'd get them from the newsagents, and there
Mm-hmm.
was that pressure, I suppose, to get each one, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's all sort of caught up nowadays. I think that's why people really will buy anything, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's definitely rules like the breakages to that line, but I think that that's kind of why people will buy everything, because there's a fear of missing out and
Yeah.
not wanting to be that, you know, that unfortunate soul that waited a day, lost the
Mm-hmm.
set that is now going for thousands and thousands of pounds. Like that's why I'm very lucky with the Series 1 Steelbook, because I bought it at
Yeah.
retail price just before it went out of stock.
Yeah.
Just as Series
Well,
2
I
came
didn't
out,
really.
first one I bought, and then about a few weeks later I bought Series 1. So
Yeah.
because of that, I was very lucky in that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I kind of interrupted you.
I was very lucky to get Series 1 too, because I didn't get it when it first came out. Even though I knew it was coming out, I
Mm.
didn't have any intention on buying it at that time. But then I started seeing that they were bringing out all the other ones. I was like, right, there sort of seems to be a pattern here. They're bringing out all these new steelbooks.
Mm.
So I've still to get Series 2 and Series 9. They're still currently the only two that I
Yeah,
need.
Series 9. Ah,
It's
we'll
still a
talk
hard
about
one.
that for sure. So we've got to
Yes.
talk about Series 9 at some point.
Oh yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Just my Twitter bio literally reads that I'm on the hunt for like
First
I think I wrote desperate hunt for the Series 9 Steelbook.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's
Yeah,
been on there for a year and nothing. Um,
nothing.
but I like just to go back and get it. I think that's why that I have developed maybe perhaps even an unhealthy compulsion
Yeah,
to buy things when they come out.
I mean, there's still one on eBay that I keep seeing. It's like £500.
Yeah, I
There's
noticed that
me.
they drop it by like a couple of cents every few
Yeah,
weeks.
like a couple of pence goes down.
Like
Still,
I think they
still
dropped it by
far too
like
high.
50p last week or something. Like a couple of weeks ago when
Yeah,
it was 500 quid and then it went 49949. So
yeah,
you dropped it by 51p. Um, yes, well, I think it's all taking the piss a bit, but I'm kind of the same with just about everything nowadays.
mm,
Um, and I like to think that I'm a little bit more wise to it now, that I'm a bit older,
yeah,
but I don't think I am that. I think I'm more likely to just accept it and give into it. I mean, we shouldn't just accept that there's a pressure to buy something because it's limited edition and the fear of missing out is so big that we
yeah.
can't help but buy something that we see
Just
for
buy
ridiculous
it.
prices. Um, like, I mean, I had a conversation with the Doctor Who guide at one point, and he has a huge collection of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. They're really his collection's
It's
like
such an
really cool.
interesting collection. It's such a diverse collection
It
of
is.
different regions as well. And with that, I asked him whether there's some things that he regrets buying.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, he says that there's nothing he really regrets buying because he's going to get some enjoyment out of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. That wasn't really the reaction that I thought he'd have. Well, for me personally, I thought he'd have a similar
Yeah.
reaction to me, which would be like, "Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff that I think I could have paid less for, or that I've bought, and then at some point seen something for
Mm-hmm.
cheaper." And I'm sure you've done the same. Like you've bought,
Yeah.
or like the Series 4 Steelbook, let's say, and then you found it for like 10 quid
Cheaper.
cheaper. Like it's just the way that the world works, I think. And I think that if
Yes,
you
I have
kept
been.
waiting, then you'd just constantly be stuck waiting
Mm-hmm.
to see if there's something better, and you'd never get it. Perhaps you would, but
Yeah.
who's to say?
I have been in a few scenarios where I've bought something on eBay, like a Doctor Who box set, and then I look on eBay and there's another seller who's selling it for maybe 20 quid cheaper. And it's went for that price, and you're sort of like, oh damn, I missed on that one.
Yeah,
Could have saved 20 quid.
I know it goes for just about everything, though, doesn't it? I think that it's not
Yeah.
just like sure, to bring it back to the title of the video. Sure,
Yeah.
Doctor Who fans will buy anything, Like if it
just to
has the
get their
name
hands on
Doctor Who on it, if it has the name limited edition on it, and I think that sometimes we just give in to the idea of it instead
it.
of like the vinyls. Take them for example. They're expensive, they're limited, and people buy them. But for me, I think you have to kind of draw the line on certain items
Yeah,
so that if you start, you can't stop. It's a bit like
I know.
maybe I should develop some more self-control when it comes to like buying products. And I think that by some degrees I do have that self-control, but I
Yeah.
think I have sort of like sporadic changes that, you know, like I bought a Korg figure this week and it
Oh yes, Korg.
arrived.
Yeah.
Yes, I bought it um just because I saw a sale, and then I bought this and it wasn't in the sale. But I kind of was led on to it in my head of thinking, oh, you know, I'd like to buy a figure soon. And I thought this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Saw this sale, thought, oh, brilliant, I can, you know, buy a couple. And I just settled for one figure in the end because I thought that was some sort of self-control. Um, but there's at the same, you know, I got some money off it, so I definitely got a good deal out of
Yeah.
it. Um, but you're still spending more money than you would have done if you just didn't see that sale.
No.
You know, like I think all of that is it's also like the thing I find so interesting about like advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff. It's all psychology based. You know, everything that they try to sell you nowadays is based in psychology. Like adverts must be louder and bigger and more mental in order to grab your attention because somebody's sitting there, you know, holding up, you know, a pair of headphones and saying, you know, these work really well. It just isn't going to entice you as much as buy these
No.
headphones now, kind of thing. You know, like in a silly
No.
voice and you know, splashy colors everywhere and things like that.
You sort of need to go into more like detail about why these headphones are unique. Why should you buy them? That sort of thing too.
They're
And
limited
going.
edition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're limited to 60,000 units.
Okay, there.
I wish, but they're limited to 60 for the sake of this. They're limited to 60,000 units, which makes them very rare. Although just about, you know, like it's like collection boxes. They're rare, but like every
Yeah.
week a new one comes onto eBay.
And it comes out. Yep.
Yeah, like so to kind of bring it right round into my final point that I've kind of been stashing away for your reaction. Christmas is coming eventually.
Yes.
And
Eventually.
this also inspired me for this whole idea for the video or for the podcast was there's an advent calendar now for Doctor Who.
Oh, for this year?
Yes, have you heard it?
Oh.
So
No, I haven't.
I think 24 days get a prize, not exactly described yet, but you can't see them, but you get prizes each day like you would do the regular advent calendar. How much would you pay for a Doctor Who advent calendar?
Depending what you're going to be getting in the advent calendar, probably about a tenner or something.
Well,
it just depends.
To put it into some perspective then, the Lego advent calendars about £25. So I think that is not a bad price for like a calendar.
25 would be
especially
good,
a Lego one. So about 20 quid. I don't know, it's Doctor Who, so
quid.
20 quid probably is a bit low. So 30
maybe 30 maybe 30 at a push.
So yeah, so about 30 quid. They're charging 100 quid for this calendar.
What? 100 quid?
100 quid.
That's mad.
To put that into the amount of hours that someone would have to work minimum wage job,
just to get that.
that's like 10 hours.
Yeah.
No, in fact, that's not even 10 hours because if I rounded it up, so it's about £8 an hour minimum wage in the UK, £8 an hour times 10, 80 quid. You'd have to do 10 and then about 12 hours. Let's say 13 because my maths is a bit weird.
That's probably about 3 shifts for me because I do like I do like about near 10 hours a day each shift, so that's roughly about three shifts
It's
just
two
for that.
full days for me.
Yeah,
Like, it is a lot for one
£100 for
thing
that big
calendar.
calendar. I can't believe it.
Like, it blew my mind. Like, once this is over, you should go and have a look, because I don't know if there's been more
Yeah.
information, because I didn't really look into it. But from what I
Mm-hmm.
can tell, like, it's going to be the whole kind of YouTuber calendar kind of thing, like that
Mm-hmm.
scenario where it just gives you crap. Like, you open each door,
Yeah.
rubbish each time. Um, but we'll have to see. I know that a few people have taken the plunge and bought it,
And bought
so
it.
I don't have to. But I am interested to
Nice.
see what's going to be in it come December. But
Yeah.
it is ridiculous, and the fact that they kind of,
It would definitely. It would definitely have to include something in that avocado that sort of maybe makes the price that up
well,
at
it's
that
going to be
scale. That
exclusive, isn't it? Really, it's going to be
yeah,
exclusive stuff to the calendar, in the same way that Lego ones have like an exclusive figure as the last one.
yeah,
You know, it's that kind of vicious cycle that we keep mentioning.
yeah.
But then the fact that they thought that they kind of had the cheek to ask 100 quid and that it would sell, I think
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit ridiculous. And I think that there was also kind of like Big Finish, like absolute lovely company, make absolutely amazing audio dramas for Doctor Who. Yet sometimes I don't think they're all needed, if that makes
No
sense.
needed.
I know you're not particularly familiar with Big Finish, but there are
No, the big
stories.
finish. Big finish is still a part where I do want to get into at some point.
Is it the expensive thing though, isn't it? Really, a lot of it is on
Yeah.
Spotify, so you can. Well, a lot of
Mm,
the earlier stuff is on Spotify, so you can listen
yeah.
to some of that. But I don't find any of that. Like I've listened to a few of them, didn't love them really.
Mm,
Um, but the fact that they thought that the fact that Big Finish have made spin-off sort of things off like vague references,
oh yeah.
and the oversaturation of the Daleks that I've talked about before, kind of almost feels like Doctor Who is a parody of itself sometimes,
Yeah.
where it's where they're relying not on creative stories and well told adventures, but they're relying on Daleks, on David Tennant mostly, on River Song, on uh, you know surprise cliffhangers that involve new
Mm,
characters, not new returning characters.
yeah.
It's almost like fan fiction sometimes. It's like Donut Universe is a lovely series, as I mentioned before, but it does feel like fan fiction in moments.
Mm,
You know, um, like with the Ninth Doctor stuff, people have complained, but kind of moved on from it. That the Ninth Doctor is far too happy for him to be after, um, before he met Rose, before he came back to Rose. So
yeah.
so he meets her at the shopping mall, at the shopping mall.
Oh
Meets her at the
yes.
shop, and then he leaves, comes back to the next day, and apparently all of these adventures are going to be set in that night.
Not night. Ooh.
In the night where yeah. So because he kind
Mm,
of alludes to the idea that he's been like around for a bit,
yeah.
like he's had a few adventures in between, which is fine.
Mm,
But I'm not quite sure whether a 12 box set can really be fit, or possibly even more
yeah.
fitted into that timeline. And sometimes I think that Doctor Who fans will buy a lot of stuff that,
Mm,
like, I think that we are collectors far too much. Like, we are,
yes.
maybe we need to read it in a bit, but we're huge collectors. And because of that, we're going to almost constantly buy Doctor Who stuff. But I think that if you take the piss, people won't buy things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Like, I think that now, like, if I saw, now I'm a big fan of like David Tennant, that kind of stuff, so I'd probably buy
Mm,
David Tennant stories. But then if you sort of pulled out another story where like you just shouted at me, the Fifth Doctor meets the Daleks, and I'm like, what makes it any different from every other story we've seen?
I
Um,
know.
and I'll move away from this in a minute because I know that this is something
Mm.
you're not particularly familiar with. But so I think that we need a bit more story. Like it feels like it's kind of like hitting a dead horse. Sometimes like knocking out one story and then multiple shadow it because the first one did well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what would you think to that statement then that there's a saturation of stuff that we're getting? Because I know that you're like a
Yeah.
big fan of box sets. Like if they started releasing box sets for like the newer series, just DVD box sets
Mm-hmm.
again with
Again.
full price, would that
Oh yeah.
I think that would be annoying. And it's not going to be too long until one day something takes over Blu-ray. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
I
probably
know we've
can't
got I know
restore
we've
it.
got the 4K thing. And we've got Twice Upon a Time, which is the only 4K Doctor
Hmm.
Who release we've got.
Yeah, like I mean, one day Doctor Who will be in 4K
Mm-hmm.
if it's not already. Um,
Yeah.
might be already, in fact. But I don't think they released it in 4K. But if they started kind of upscaling like Series 1 into 4K, do you think that then that kind of takes the piss? Or do you think that that's justified?
Um, I don't know. Really, it's hard to say because because it was only filmed in standard definition back then.
Yeah.
So I've already got the Blu-rays now. So I don't know. Probably taking the piss because we've already got the Blu-rays and everyone's been getting the steelbooks and bringing all that out, and I've worked really hard to get all of them. And then all of a sudden they start bringing out these new ones as well, more ones.
This
But
this
it just
could be
depends.
like 10 years time. This could be a while that they do
Yeah.
it. But I think that and that's something that a lot of people were quite skeptical about the collection box set,
Mm,
is that box sets is that it comes across as like a definitive set,
yeah.
yet will one day not be definitive, if that
Mm.
makes
Sorry,
sense.
I'm just gonna turn on the wee light here. It's getting a bit dark.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can still hear me because I'm halfway because you're over across
No,
the
it's
room, but
okay.
um, with that kind of annoyance of like nothing's really definitive or the end of
Mm-hmm.
it, so with mixed in like a fear of missing out and being a fan of the show and trying to support the show, it all becomes a bit hectic and a bit too much, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Is there any closing sort of statement that you'd like to say? I feel like I've talked slightly more, well, I've talked a lot more than you have.
No, it's okay.
But
No, it's fine.
if you got anything closing to say about whether we'd buy anything?
Um, well, not at the minute. Not yet. But yeah, if they did release 4K of series one and onwards, I probably would buy them just to see how they would turn out
Yeah,
and see
it's the vicious
what's getting
trap
more
all
of them.
over again, isn't it?
Yeah, because we already had that with the Blu-rays when they first started coming out.
Yeah,
On Blu-ray.
I remember there being a bit of skepticism about it, to be honest. And there was a bit of
Yeah,
like, oh, isn't it cool that they're adding it on Blu-ray, but how long till it gets moved on to the next format and we get done over
no,
again? Pay full price for something that you've owned before, but
I
own
know.
it again.
And then there was already issues with some of the Blu-rays. Some people notice even on the Blu-ray versions of Series 1 to 4, it's like whenever they're watching it, the video looks a bit jarred and like it looks like it's been slowed down slightly as well, which is another issue which I had too.
What was this on? Sorry, was this on the Blu-rays?
Yeah, because some people were complaining about the Blu-rays of Series 1 to 4 because it was already filmed in
Yeah,
standard
the standard
definition.
there to enhance it.
Yeah, some people noticed that it looked like it was slowed down like ever so slightly, but it still looked the
Oh,
picture still looked good. I
that's
didn't notice
strange.
any difference there.
Well,
I didn't notice slowing down bit.
see, sometimes not. I would pride myself in being able to tell the difference between DVD and
Mm,
Blu-ray. I think I
yeah,
can for the most part. Like, if you said to me, if you put two screens in front of me, so this should be a video that I should do one day. But if I put two screens in
yeah,
front of me, same television, and said, that's Blu-ray, that's DVD, um, played them, well, I wouldn't tell me what the two were actually, but if I had to
Yeah,
guess which one was Blu-ray, which one was DVD, I think I'd be able to tell. Like I think
yeah,
there's just a grain in it, and you can tell a lot with the classic, with not the classic, sorry, with well actually with the classic as well. That there's not
yeah. The
much. The
collectible box
grain is
sets.
still really like embedded, but it's still
Yeah.
there. They're not crisp just yet,
Mhm.
but
And then there's
maybe they
audio,
could be.
and then there's the audio as well, because I know like there's like the audio tracks on the collection box sets as well compared to the DVD one.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as the visuals, isn't it? How many years until we have a
Yeah.
new form of restoration of audio as well as picture?
Hmm.
Does that mean we have to warrant a whole new release that we have to pay for? Um,
Yeah.
but it's a cycle that never stops, and I think that there will one day be a line where that's drawn. Like for me, I don't think I could
Yeah.
justify buying a kind of revamped collection box sets
Revamp
after these
stuff.
are
Yeah.
finished. I don't think I could
Hmm.
justify buying that. Although I've seen people that have had that same opinion. No, I have the DVDs. I can't justify buying the Blu-rays, and
Hmm.
then years later missed out. In fact, Philip Hawkins missed out the first time. Had to go backtrack
Mm.
and buy the sets that he was missing. One by one, he collected them, but it cost him a lot
Hmm.
more than if he just started to begin with.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
guess
that
he
vicious
uploaded.
cycle, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
guess
Again,
he uploaded a video. Was it because he
ooh,
uploaded saying like why he wasn't buying the collection box sets, and then later on he decided to go ahead and buy them.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
watched them as well.
yeah. Yeah. So it kind of it's almost peer pressure in it, like to buy them, because I think a lot of it is
Yeah.
like when I see people on Twitter with like the Series 9 Steelbook, I sit there and just think, "I'm so lucky." Like people tell me how lucky I am to have the ones that I do. And I think
Yeah.
I am because like not everyone can say that they have the Series 1
Hmm.
Steelbook or the Series 2
But
Steelbook.
just that Series 9 one, it constantly haunts your brain until
Yeah.
one day you actually get it.
Like I don't, it gets past the point of even the talking about like the series, like because I don't think Series 9 is
Hmm.
even a pretty strong series. Like
No.
if it was my favorite, I'd probably be more sort of, I was going to say more inclined to spend more money on it, but that's not really the case.
Yeah. No.
More upset about not having it on Steelbook, but I think that just not
Mhm.
having the collection complete is the thing that drives me to try and get it. Less
Yeah.
than anything else. Uh, but I think I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't know about you. Have you? Are you
Yeah.
good? All right. Well,
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
I have learned something from this podcast. I've
Hmm.
learned a few things. One, Doctor Who fans really will buy anything, but I think there will be a line one day. God knows when that will be in the future. But also, I do need to buy a webcam because seeing your picture quality over there is very crisp. Like I think you're using your phone, aren't
Yeah.
you?
I'm
Well,
using my phone. Yeah.
I might need to buy a webcam because this camera here is so grainy, and I look pale on this side of my. That's the sun, and
Yeah.
it's because I can't light this sort of corner of the room. Um,
Yeah.
well,
Also,
I need to buy a webcam.
also my camera, it looks like whenever I'm looking at you, look on your screen, it looks like I'm looking at the side. It's just my camera is like this here.
Yeah,
It's been annoying.
it's the same with me because I noticed that my eye line is here at the screen, and
Yeah.
it should be at the camera. So if you
Yeah.
notice that, then that's what's happening there. But obviously, thank you very much for being the co-host this month. Hopefully, you had a good time talking about Doctor Who with me. Maybe you can come
Yes,
back
it did. It
again
was.
one day and talk about
Mhm.
the 4K versions of the classic stories.
4K versions. Yeah.
um,
Oh yes, thanks for having me on. It's been nice. I've never done
Pleasure.
something like this before, so it's been all new. So it's
Mm,
been fun. So definitely do it again.
great. Yeah, we're very welcome back at some point, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But now, obviously, your links will be down below. If you want, and
Mhm.
I'll ask your permission here. Do you want me to put your single down at the bottom as well on Spotify in the description?
Yeah, I don't mind. It'll
I
be
don't.
my latest ones.
Yeah,
See the
see the
world.
world. Yes. I do. I don't know what platforms you have that music on, but is there a
That's
link tree or something that you can send me that I
it's
will? have all of them, or
Yeah, on my Instagram link bio, it'll take you to a link tree, and on my music stuff and all there.
all right. Well, so I'll link the Spotify because I think that's like
Hmm.
the most popular. But obviously your Instagram will be down there, your YouTube for reactions on trailers. I find your content so difficult to define. So you do unboxings of Doctor Who stuff when you get the
Yeah.
chance to, when you buy something.
Hmm.
Um, but also reactions to picture this music videos, picture this
Yeah.
concerts. I love the energy that you put into those sort of concerts
Yeah.
things.
And then
When you
there's
listen to a
vlogs.
track, I think you've got a very
Hmm.
good um ear. I was going to say ear for
Yeah.
like understanding music. You're able to get
Yeah.
into. You literally see you get into the music as it begins. But that's always quite interesting to watch. Even if I'm not a big fan of
Hmm.
like the music you're listening to, because we have quite different
Yeah.
music tastes. Um, but it is definitely interesting to watch sometimes. Um, Trailer
Hmm.
reactions as well, just reactionary stuff. That's
I
the
just
best way
I
to
just see a
describe it.
whole lot of stuff.
Just
Just see a whole
everything.
lot of stuff.
You
Yeah.
know, let's try and get you to 900. I don't, you know what? I think you need about 50 or something to 900. Let's try and
I'm
get
on
you.
810. I'm on at the minute.
Oh, what about 100 then, mate? I might have
200.
misjudged how many you needed. Um, yeah, but go and subscribe to him. He will post lots of videos, I'm sure, when he gets the chance to. He'll
Yeah,
post
because
lots of videos, I'm sure, when he gets
I
the
will
chance.
be coming back. I will be coming back soon because I took a wee break for a wee while, but I'm gonna be coming back very soon. I'm gonna be posting up an update video sometime this week to say I'm coming back to do this and that. So it'll be
Mm.
good.
This intro is going to be interesting. I've got hiccups. So let's see how this is going to go. I'm going to try and hold my breath as much as
Thanks
I
for
can.
watching, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Shouldn't fake hiccups because it means you're going to get more hiccups. So thank you very much for watching. If you are listening to this on YouTube, you can also listen to this podcast on the go through a variety of apps, including Spotify, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iTunes, uh, uh, iHeartRadio. I don't even
Apple
need
Music.
to.
I think it's
Yeah,
on Apple Music, is it?
is
I
it
think it is.
Apple
I
Music
think
now,
it is.
not iTunes?
Can't remember. All right,
Uh,
James. Yeah.
well, it's available on the whole link tree down in the description. I think it's like the
Mhm.
first link that I put down. There's a link tree with all of the podcast hosts, and hopefully, I'm looking into it growing slightly and adding a few more names to the list. Um, so until next month, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, goodbye.